So my husband and I have been on a wealth building journey for the past 10 years. We started in single family, flips, rentals, wholesales, some owner financing. About 6 years ago, we transitioned to multifamily, large multifamily group purchases. We have done 8 large syndications so far, meaning we bought 8 large properties with groups of investors. And then this past year, it was one of those revelation moments where you think you're a savvy investor until I joined KW Wealth. And in KW Wealth, it was really cool because I was in the room with a bunch of KW agents from across the country that invest in all different kinds of things. And some of the things we're going to talk about today: treasury bills, high yield savings, notes, commercial properties, everything like that. And all of a sudden my eyes were open, like, wow, I've still got so much to learn. Like, there's so much out there. And it's amazing that real estate investing can just go in like 15 different branches of real estate investing. So I'm a huge proponent of real estate investing. It's allowed us to 10x our net worth over the past 10 years, which is absolutely not something that would have happened if we would have just stayed at our W-2 jobs. And so today, we're not necessarily going to talk about real estate investing, but we're going to talk about a really important topic, because there are ways that your money can be making 4 to 7% while it's sitting waiting, while it's in your personal reserves, while it's in your business reserves. I just talked to an agent last week, and she says, I've got money set aside for my taxes. Like, we're coached to put money aside for our tax bill. Well, that might be $50,000, and that money could be making interest. And so that's what our class is about today. And I'm really excited about this topic because I was just as guilty. So let's jump in. And I just want to give a definition first of what is dead money. And this was one of my bank statements. So I was guilty as of a couple months ago. And the KW Wealth group really opened my eyes, because this was a topic, and I'll kind of step back. I'm part of the KW Wealth Mastermind. And one of my roles as our wealth ambassador for the office is to go to the Mastermind events down in Austin and then bring back the material to our office and to the other offices in the Go network. And so it was during one of the masterminds when we talked about treasury bills and notes and all these other investment opportunities. And then I open up my bank statement. I'm like, oh crap! Like, I'm guilty. Like, this was something that even I realized, had my eyes open to, that it was an area of opportunity. So this was a savings account. It had $18,000 in it, and I was making 0.01% interest. Okay, 15 cents that previous month, $1.51 for the entire year so far. And so this is what I challenge you to do: is open up some of those savings accounts, some of those checking accounts, especially ones that are just sitting. Like, this money was sitting. I barely touched this account probably in the past 10 years. And so immediately I took pretty much 18,000 of this money and moved it into a high yield account, which we're going to talk about. So this is what I mean by dead money. And again, this could just be savings sitting aside. This could be business reserves. This could be taxes money. This could be money like, oh, I know I'm going to buy an investment property in 3 or 4 months, but I have 3 or 4 months to wait. Those are the kind of conversations that this class will really help. So this was part of the training from KW Wealth, and this is actually directly out of the MREA, Millionaire Real Estate Agent. And Gary Keller divides up money into 4 different sections: dead money, safe money, healthy, and wealthy money. And he's got, I would say, a typical inflation rate shown there, 4%. And the reason he wants to minimize the amount of dead money is because that money, especially the stuff making 0.01, is really losing value. As inflation goes up, that money's sitting there. $18,000 buys you less today than it did a couple years ago. So it's losing value as it's just sitting. And some of the different asset classes that kind of correlate with these categories are traditional checking and savings. You'll see them here, and I'll send out the slides to everybody. And what I would encourage you to do is just to have a blend. And that's one thing that we kind of looked at our portfolio, and after the KW Wealth Mastermind classes and the KW Wealth classes, we invested in a little bit more of the modest returns. We had a lot in the healthy and wealthy, but we had a lot of dead money too. And so we moved that dead money up to the safe category, if that makes sense. And so here's what my challenge to you is to try to spread it out. So the green is what we've personally invested in so far. I would take it back to you and your investments, and where is your money? Do you have anything in the healthy money? Do you have anything in the wealthy money? Because if your entire life is spent in the safe money category, it's not going to grow to the levels that you probably dream about it growing to. But today's class is really focused on this 4 to 7, because today's class is focused on getting it out of that checking and savings, making 0.01%, and at least getting it up to that 4 to 7. So the first category we're going to talk about is just high yield savings and money markets. And this is a pretty simple topic. These are all products that are out there available today. I've got some sample banks listed. The one that I use is Merrill Lynch. It's called a preferred deposit account. It's kind of like a money market. And they are offering 5.02%. The only downside is you need $100,000 minimum opening deposit. So it doesn't have to stay at 100, but you have to at least put 100 in. So if you say, I don't have 100, you're still in luck. Citibank, Capital One, and Marcus are all around 4.25, 4.3. Wealthfront's at 4.8. Betterment, one of my multifamily mentor just put a couple million in Betterment because they offered 5.5% through the end of the year. And then after the end of the year, it's going to go down to 4.75. And it's FDIC insured up to $2 million. And so just know that there are options. And then some of my colleagues from KW Wealth, they put their money in Raisin. Personally, I'm not really, I don't know. I don't trust companies that I haven't heard of for a long time. So Raisin, Betterment, like Wealthfront, I personally keep my stuff with Merrill Lynch. But everybody has different tolerances. So what I also like about Merrill Lynch is I have like a personal liaison. So if you're interested in that, feel free to email me. I email her, she does everything for me. It's like, hey, I need money transferred, I need to put money here, there, and she just does it. And so it's like a personal assistant at Merrill Lynch. Now, 4 to 5%, yeah, did you have a question?
I was just gonna ask, in terms of setting these money market accounts up and or transferring in and out, are there fees associated with that?
So with the one I'm in, there are no fees to transfer in and out because I have set up a funds transfer, I filled out a funds transfer agreement. And so it allows them to transfer money, like I say, hey, I need 20,000 transferred out or in, I don't get any fees. It's like, because it's ACH,
Okay.
it's not wire.
Okay.
And when you get the ACH set up, it avoids the fees, but it could take, I don't think it was on here, it might be on the next slide, 1 to 3 days. So it's not necessarily liquid as in like you can go to your bank and you can say, oh, I need to deposit it today, but typically within 1 to 3 days, you can get it out.
Do you know if Citibank or Capital One has a minimum to start the account?
I don't believe so, but definitely check, you could check. I think that's why they're lower though, is because they don't have that minimum. So definitely check on the fees and the minimums. And just know that these rates, they're not locked in. So Merrill Lynch, this rate, luckily it's adjusted 3 times since I've opened my account. Luckily every time it's gone up. But it has the capability to go down. So if for some reason the Fed's like slash interest rates, this is not a long-term guaranteed rate. It's a today's rate and it can adjust, it can float. Essentially, or it'll be variable. Okay, so let's take just an example. I'm going to go back to that $18,000 that savings account that I had. If I put all of that I just use an average of 4.75 in a high yield savings or money market, I'd have the liquidity within 1 to 3 days, and my interest, I would be making $879 a year, as opposed to in my PNC savings where I would make $3. So, I mean, it's not a ton, but that's Christmas shopping, right? That's $880 can help me pay for the groceries that are more expensive, the gas that's more expensive. It's money that's wasted if I do nothing. And if I just put it into a high yield savings, it's free money. So you're not moving money out of that dead position, you're just giving up free money. Call it your Christmas present bucket.
Christmas fun.
Yes. So any questions on high yield savings? It's a fairly simple topic, and the point that I want to get across is like, you may just have to set up the account and move the money. It's that easy, and just deciding which bank, and you can shop, you can look through. There's big names, Citibank, Capital One, Merrill Lynch. There's unknown, lesser known names, and just find that product that's right for you. But these are the most liquid options. Okay, let's move on to treasury bills. This is a really interesting topic because in the past, I looked up quotes from Warren Buffett on treasury bills, and were historically at 1%. So not sexy, nobody wanted, barely anybody wanted to invest in treasury bills. But it's the exact opposite today. They are very competitive. They're currently at 5.2% or higher, so 5.2 to 5.35. These are historically high rates. They are backed by the good faith and credit of our U.S. government. So we're actually going to listen to Clarissa Skinner give a quick overview on treasury bills. She is one of the KW Wealth, leads, and she gives a great presentation. And the video that we're going to watch is an example of one of probably 100 videos that is offered through the KW Wealth community. But they come in different term lengths. And you can buy them in 4-week, 8-week, 13-week, 17, 26, and 52. So there are short options. There's 4-week options. You can do it on a rolling 4-week. And you can buy them through treasurydirect.gov, which is directly from the government. And if you buy them through Treasury Direct, the minimum investment is $100. If you have an Edward Jones account, a Charles Schwab account, you can buy them through investment advisor accounts, but the minimum investment is $1,000. So this is eligible for retirement accounts, but there's a little star. Like I have a self-directed retirement account with Quest IRA. So it's a custodian that allows me to invest in real estate and other things like that. I called Quest, I said, hey, can I invest in treasury bills? And they said, no, you can't, because it's a publicly traded option. And so if my self-directed IRA owned an entity like an LLC or a trust, then the LLC or that trust could invest. But if you had a retirement funds through Charles Schwab, TD Ameritrade, Edward Jones, they can buy treasury bills for you. And Merrill Lynch as well. So we have our money with our properties reserves with Merrill Lynch, and they've gone and invested them in treasury bills. So we're going to watch a quick video from Clarissa.
Yes, hi guys, I'm Clarissa, one of the certified trainers like Katie said. We decided to teach on T-bill ladders because Brett talks about doing T-bills as a short-term investment, and we had a couple questions about it. So we wanted to show you guys how to build the ladder, some pros, some cons, the good, bad, the ugly about treasury bills. I personally have, I think, about 4 different T-bill ladders, and I'll explain as we go through what each of them do and how you can utilize this right now. So we'll go on to the next slide. So a treasury bill is a kind of an IOU from the government. It is a 1 year or less debt obligation by the US government. They take it to build bridges, schools, highways, infrastructure like that. The longer the maturity date, the higher the interest rate of that T-bill will be. And I actually pulled the rates yesterday, and it's kind of a little interesting what the interest rates are currently. So you can buy them in 4-week, 8-week, 13-week, 17-week, 26, and 52. Okay, so the top 9 things you need to know about T-bills. They virtually have no credit risk as they're backed by the full faith and credit of the US government, assuming the government doesn't go bankrupt. Now, I do know that there is some looms around us hitting the debt ceiling coming in June, but I can tell you if the government does shut down, in past shutdowns, the debt service was considered essential, and all of those interests and T-bills were continued to be paid. And in the past, they've always raised the debt ceiling. So I'm not concerned. A lot of people that I follow that have very advanced T-bills are not concerned either. So this is still a great investment. I just know that's kind of out there in the background. Treasury Direct auctions off new T-bills for 4-week, 8-week, 13-week, 17-week, and 26-week weekly, and then 52-week is monthly. The nice thing about this is every time they do an auction, the interest rates, they don't always go up, but lately they have gone up. I can tell you since I started my T-bill ladder, they were in the high 2s, and now they hit over 5.1 last week. So they're continuing to go up as interest rates are going up as well. T-bills are sold at a discount at par value that equals, so as you can see, it's easy to just explain the graphic at the bottom. So you put an order in for 1,000, what you actually pay is $950. And when it matures at the end, they drop that $50 into your bank account or whatever you choose to drop it into when it matures for that interest that they're going to pay you. So I get a lot of questions when people go to buy them and they're like, what? I thought I was buying $1,000 and $950 only came out of my bank account. That's because of how it's set up, and it's supposed to be like that. So don't freak out like I did the first time I bought a T-bill and I was like, what's happening? So just remember they only pay the interest at the maturity as well. Next slide. When you place your purchase for T-bills, you do not know exactly how much you're going to be paying or how much your interest you're going to be earning, but they do publish weekly the latest auction results. So you can go in and kind of see what the theme or the trend has been for those rates. What's nice is the big banks and financial institutions actually put in competitive bids and negotiate with the Treasury on that interest, and us normal folks just get to tag along with them in their negotiation. So it's super nice that you have that big power of negotiation from the big banks that you get to utilize as well. We covered that interest is only paid at maturity, and T-bills is subject to federal income tax, but not state or local income tax. And if you purchase out of a Roth IRA, there is no taxes at all. So this is a great thing to do if you need to invest out of your self-directed Roth IRA and you're waiting either for that next big deal or just kind of in the middle of 2 projects. This is a great way to keep the money going. T-bills have very high purchase limits. If you are purchasing up to $10 million in T-bills, maybe let's have a conversation outside of the Zoom if that's what you're spending your money on. But the limit is 10 million, unlike I-bonds, which it's only 10,000 per EIN or social. So this is a great way to continue to build. And like I said, if you're buying $10 million with the T-bills, let's talk about some other investments you could be making outside of here. And T-bills are made available through Treasury Direct, your bank or your broker. Just some things to keep in mind. If you buy directly from Treasury Direct, the minimum is 100, and you can only buy in groupings or like in increments of 100. So you can't do 150, 175. It has to be 100, 200, 300. If you do it through like a TD Ameritrade, Charles Schwab, normally the minimum is 1,000. Some have a minimum of 5. So if you do not want to invest that much or have that much in an account, you might want to just go through Treasury Direct itself. T-bills are liquid. They can be bought and sold in the secondary market, but just like anything, it comes with a fee and possibly a lower price. But if you really needed to get your money out, you could. So some things to factor in when you're building a T-bill ladder is the source of capital. So I gave my examples here. So I have one that is 1/3 of my business reserves. I didn't want to do half, but I felt like 1/3 was great. I have a separate ladder that is 1/3 of my personal reserves. And then I also started another one because I had extra capital in my war chest account that was combined with my husband. So just knowing where this money is coming from, you can also buy these as gifts. So if you want to buy these for grandchildren or kids, it can come out of your bank account, but the interest can be paid to their bank account. So you have the option of picking that. Also, if you have money sitting in a self-directed IRA, like I said, that maybe it's not ready to be deployed for a big project, but you need it to keep moving, these are a great way to do that as well. Another thing to factor in is just the access to the capital. How often do you need to pull from this ladder? A great thing about T-bill ladders is they're super flexible, and if you build it correctly, you can have access to this money every 30 days. So if you really were in a pinch and needed to pull it out, you could have access to the money pretty quickly. And most of the time when something comes up, you could have at least 30 days to pay that bill, or something's coming. This is a great way to hold down payment money, like, because hey, I'm closing on this date, or hey, in 3 months I'm buying this property. This is a great way to keep that money moving as well. Like I said, you can set it up to access every 4 to 8 weeks, or if you set up a 26-week, you get higher yields, but it takes a little longer to have access to that money. Same with time. You can make these as complex or easy as you want. I'm going to show you a pretty easy way to set these up, and then maybe a little bit more complex way, but luckily the government has auto invest, so you can kind of set it and forget it if you don't need to have access to that money up to 2 years. So that's pretty nice. Also, just making sure, are you in the financial state to hold these to maturity when you're purchasing them? Like I said, I took 1/3 of my business and 1/3 of my personal. These are out of two separate accounts, but I knew that I felt more than comfortable not having to touch 1/3 of those reserves on either of that account. So these are the latest rates, as you can see. They've really gone up. Like I said, when I started this was a while ago that I started, they were in like mid 2s and they've gone up. So as you can see right now, actually the 4-week that's pretty good at 5.9. You're not really getting that at any sort of bank, even at a CD level. And if you are getting that at a bank with CDs, they're going to want, a $25,000 or more deposit. So that is the nice thing about T-bills, is that you can have access to them quickly and get some pretty great rates at the moment. And I think because of the looms of the possible hitting the debt ceiling, they're going to go up as well. So you could really take advantage right now. So these are just the different weeks. They do change, but those are some pretty good numbers right now. So. All right, so here is your standard T-bill ladder. So when you buy it, you go, and I'm going to show you in a few slides later, you go on to Treasury Direct or through your brokerage account, and you buy a 4-week T-bill, and then buy an 8, 13, 17, and 26. You could just stay between 4 and 13. I happen to buy 4 through 26. So when this happens, the 4-week T-bill, when it matures, it drops that interest into whatever bank account I choose. And then it reinvests, and it goes back to the top. So it would hit 30 days after that 17-week T-bill comes mature. And at the same time, then that 8-week, 30 days later, it drops the interest into my bank account. And then I have it set to auto invest, but you could also pull the money if you wanted. It then just reinvests and again becomes available in the next 30 days. And it just keeps going. Now, every time you do this, hopefully the interest rates will be higher. So you can just continue to have that velocity of money continue to grow and grow and grow. The only bad part about T-bills, like I said, is the government does not allow you to do anything other than in increments of 100. So if you do $1,000 and you make $50, you can't do 1,050. You would just have to do 1,000 again or 1,100. But what I have it do is drop into a bank account of whatever. You can choose different bank accounts. I have it drop, and then once that hits a certain amount, I just buy and add more into my T-bill ladder. So this is just your standard one. And then the 26-week, obviously that is not available every 30 days, but most of the time those interest rates are higher, so you get a better rate. And then it just is kind of like an added bonus when that interest becomes available. So we'll look at another T-bill. So this is just your standard one. And we'll make sure, obviously this will be recorded, but if you guys want these slides, we can post them as well too. So this is a 13-week T-bill ladder. And like I said, these rates are from yesterday that I pulled. So you would buy a 4-week, 8-week, 13-week. And then when that 4-week became due, you would then, instead of reinvesting into a 4-week, you would buy a 13-week T-bill. And why this is important is 13-week has been historically the highest rate of return from T-bills. So that is why people like to build what we call a 13-week T-bill ladder, is because most of the time, those are the highest paid. So, and it only would happen, you would just have to get it started. So it would take a little bit more of a time commitment, but you could set a calendar reminder. So you'd buy the 4-week, 8-week, 13-week all in the same time. And then just like I said, the 4-week and the 8-week would then, when those come mature, instead of reinvesting, you would just buy it at 13-week, and it would continue to pay you and have access to your money every 30 days. So I think the biggest thing that Brett really wanted to hone in was that, one, your money is moving, right? And it's moving better than it's sitting in your savings account. 2, the liquidity, right? You can get it back out if you really need to. And also it's just flexible. We can keep it in there or we can pull it out, and just timing wise. So there is that. And I know a lot of people are asking for the slides. So after this, we can put them up. Yes, Haley, you can, because you have access to that money. If you don't reinvest, they just drop the money back into your account. So if you didn't want to do auto invest, they drop it into your account and you can have that money back and then decide what you want to deploy it to, whether it's a deal or buy another treasury bill. So this is the website. If you don't use your brokerage, Treasury Direct, like anything that the government does, it's a little clunky, but it does work, and it does take the, it's super simple to set up, takes like, 5 minutes to set up an account. You can do this with a social or an EIN. And once you set up an account, if you decide to buy these for kids or grandkids, it's super simple. You just have your one account that you sign up for. So the next slide. This is what will happen when you log in. So you can kind of see your current securities totals, how much you have in different stuff. So you can see that. So that's right when you log in. And then at the top, when you go to buy, actually, Katie, if you want to go back one, it will say my account, and the next one you'll hit buy direct. So you'll hit buy direct, and then this next slide will come up for you. And then you'll hit bills, which are the short term. You can also, I actually do notes and I-bonds. We can talk about that at a different time, but you'll do bills for the short term and hit submit at the bottom. And then here's what will pop up. I had to kind of make the screen too. So at the top where it says registration info, you can see my name, but if you drop it down, this is where you could add a registration for kids, grandkids, or whoever you were gifting these T-bills to. I mean, I'm gladly to take your T-bill gift if you would like. And then this is where you'll choose 4-week, 8-week, and then it does have 13, 17, it kind of got cut off. And you can select them. So if you want to buy out at certain dates or have it hit at a certain time, you can. So the auction date is when they're actually going to negotiate these with those big banks. And the issue date is when it will actually charge your account. So that's just something to keep in mind. Then over here at the other side, you can put your purchase amount that you would like. And like I said, this is in increments of 100. The minimum on Treasury Direct is 100. The maximum is 10 million. So like I said, if you have 10 million, let's talk about something else. And then you'll hit the source of funds. So this is actually a drop-down menu. So you can actually pull these from different accounts. This is where I have the one that is blocked out is my business reserve account. And then I have my personal reserve account. And then I have another just T-bill bank account that I have. So then you can pick and choose where those funds are going to come from. The next one is if you want to auto invest after your first investment. So if you wanted to do a standard T-bill, or you just said, hey, I actually don't need access to this for however many weeks, and you didn't need that liquidity for 30 days, then you could hit yes, and then auto invest up to 2 years. I personally only do this for 6 months at a time, just in case I'm not paying attention and rates go some crazy way that I don't like. And then at the end of that, it will just drop into your bank account if you don't auto invest. But if you would like to just save time and like the headache from it, you can set it up for the next 2 years if you'd like. And then at the bottom is where you get to have it drop back into whatever account. So this is where you could either, I have my 3 different accounts that we've talked about, or if you want to buy these for grandchildren, kids, you could then have those go into that account. Or if you want it to go into a grandchild's like Roth IRA or something like that, you could also set that up as well. So it's nice that you get to have lots of options for where the money's coming from and then where the money is going after it ends. Next slide. These are some important websites for you. Here is just the treasurydirect.gov. We'll make sure that's also in the comments here. The latest auction results. So when I got that screenshot of the percentages, that is where that came from. And the auction dates if you need them. At the bottom, just a little plug. I follow this lady on YouTube and Instagram, and she has some great content, especially about government securities. Not everyone likes government securities as much as I do. I love them because they're pretty risk averse. So I would go follow her. If you ever have any questions about T-bills, notes, I-bonds, she has a great YouTube channel. And she helped me build my personal T-bill ladders as well.
Okay, so that's just kind of an example of one of the KW Wealth classes that
So today's all about more deals. So I'm gonna close this out.
and I will send the link to that video to everybody, just in case you want to go back and look at the slides. Oops, there we go. Start this back up. Okay. And one of the things she mentioned in the Q&A section was actually about T-bills being a really great way to teach your kids about investing. Because with a minimum investment of $100, you could take $500 and build a T-bill ladder, do a 4-week, an 8-week, a 13, a 17, and a 26, and then use it as an assignment almost to have your young teenagers or track the interest that they're making and help you make those decisions. So after 4 weeks, let's say the money comes due and it's like, okay, well, let's look at the rates. Where do we want to put the next one? So it's a really easy way to help teach kids about investing as well, which really resonated with me because I love the concept of teaching early. Were there any, I'm going to go through an example, but let me know if there's any questions from her video that I can try to answer.
I had one question when when she said that when you buy 50, 80, and 30 at the same time, is it the same amount or you can have separate?
You can have separate amounts. The question is about, yep. So the question was, when she's setting up a ladder and she's buying a 4-week, an 8-week, and a 13-week today, is it all different amounts? And the answer is yes. You can customize those amounts. You can put whatever amounts in whatever bucket you want for those.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, so let's go through an example, because I just literally talked to an agent last week who said, I've got $50,000 set aside for my taxes. And I said that money could be making better interest than what it's making today. So let's just take the taxes example. Let's say you've got $50,000 set aside, but you're not gonna need that money until April of next year. So this is money that you set aside every month from your commissions, because you know there's gonna be a tax bill coming. And so you really have 32 weeks before you owe it for taxes. So I'm gonna do an example where we just pick a 26 week. We're just gonna buy one 26 week, and we're gonna put all 50,000 in. The interest would be about $1,337. So again, we're not talking huge numbers here, but it's better than $1 in interest sitting in your checking or regular checking or savings. And a way to increase that, yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, I'm just curious, because she mentioned that the 13-week has been yielding the highest interest rate. I'm wondering why you would choose a 26-week instead of doing a 13-week twice.
So the question is, why would you choose a 26-week if 13-week has historically the highest rates? And that is a great question, and you absolutely could do a 13-week and then reinvest it one time, right? It's a little bit of a risk. It's like, what do you think the 13 weeks gonna be at in 13 weeks from now?
Yeah.
And nobody knows, right? But it's probably still gonna be high. So you could absolutely do that. That's a great option.
Sure.
So that's a great idea. And I probably would really consider that. And then the same way, you could take an 8-week and you could reinvest it 2 more times to roll it out to 24 weeks. So there's a lot of different ways to customize the T-bills, and having the shorter options is definitely a unique aspect, because not a lot of investments let you it's almost like a CD, but I could get it back in a month. And there's no 1-month CDs probably right now that are offering 5.285.
So you're saying you can take the 13-week and then reinvest it one time? Or
Yep.
you can reinvest it, why can't you just keep doing it perpetually?
So the question is, why couldn't you reinvest it perpetually? In this example, I need this money to pay my taxes.
Oh, okay.
So I have to have it liquid
But
in
if you
April
didn't need the
15.
money, you're just reinvesting it, you just reinvest.
Yes, if I didn't need the money for taxes, then I could just reinvest. And after you buy, let's say you're in the middle of this 26 week and you've selected that I want the money to go back into my account, I don't want to reinvest it, and then you find out from your tax advisor that you invested in some real estate and you got all this depreciation, now you don't want to owe any more taxes, you can go in and change that selection to auto invest. So during the investment period, you can change it. Does that make sense?
Yes.
And then a way to get that 1337 number even higher is, let's say every single month you put aside another $5,000 for taxes. Let's put that in a 17-week or a 13-week. You can continue investing, just making sure that you're going to get that money back before April 15th. And that 1337 could probably go closer to 1,500 or higher. So this is just an example of a way to use treasury bills as when you know there's a deadline and you're like, I need my money back before April 15th. Or she mentioned a closing. I know this is down payment money, but my closing's not for 60 more days. You could put that down payment money in a 4-week T-bill and get them and make a little bit of interest on it.
And all from that website.
Yeah, treasurydirect.gov. I have an account there. It's actually really easy. It is actually really easy. And I set up one for my daughter too. So it's one of the I like it. I like the concept. Okay, so this is our last topic. With the last 15 minutes, we are gonna talk about promissory notes. And so this is a unique option in that it's offered by my company. So my company is offering promissory notes at 6 to 7%. And this is, the 6% is for investments from 25,000 up to 99. And the 7% is for investments $100,000 or more. This is on a 3-year term. So this is for money that could be set aside for 3 years. So not the 50,000 tax reserves, maybe not the, if there's business reserves. This is money that is, you say, I want to invest it, but I haven't really been able to find that rental property, and I just want to put it aside and get it working, and I have a few years. This is also open to self-directed retirement accounts, particularly custodian ones like with Quest IRA. The payments are interest only on a quarterly basis. So we'll do an example and I'll show you the numbers, but interest only quarterly. The guarantee is a personal guarantee from my husband and I. So the lender is actually my company with the personal guarantee. If you're familiar with like notes, there's guarantees that come with them. And the payments are ACH'd. There's no fees for cash deposits. If you do work through your, like a Quest IRA account, for example, they are going to charge you, like every new asset, I think is $125 for me, charged from Quest. So there's no fees from our end, but if you did set it up through a Quest retirement account, you would still incur that new asset fee. And this just locks in the rate for 3 years. So pretty simple. I want to do a quick comparison because it's similar to a CD, a traditional CD that's offered from banks. But I pulled this chart yesterday, and the average CD rates for 3 years are closer to the 4.25 to 4.85. So it's better than what you can get at the bank. It's better than what you can get at the bank, and most CDs don't have any cash flow. Most of the time, you get a CD from your bank, and they say, okay, we'll give you your money back in 3 years plus interest. So this one, you at least get quarterly cash flow. So let's do a quick example. This example is $100,000. The interest rate is 7%, so $7,000 a year in interest, broken up into 4 quarters, so $1,750 per quarter. The total return after the 3 years, 7,000 times 3 years, 21,000. And then at the end of 3 years, you get your $100,000 back. The next example is a $50,000. So this goes into the 6% range. Again, term of 3 years. 50,000 at 6% is $3,000 a year. Divided by 4, $750. So $750 a quarter coming back, and 3,000 times 3 years would be $9,000 total profit after 3 years. And then the 50,000 comes back. A quick recap. The shorter time frame, the most liquid investments are typically going to give the least return. So those high yield savings, and I mean least, we're still talking like 4.2 was the lowest one on there, which is really good for today. That's so historically high for high yield savings. And you can get the money out in a couple days. If you want to put it aside a little bit longer, treasury bills are the best option if you're looking at less than 1 year. I really think those are the best investing options today for money that you need within 1 year, 1 month to 1 year. And they're going to get you higher yields than the high yield savings, except for Betterment. That one might be better till the end of the year. And then the promissory notes, that is an option that is best for a 3-year outlook.
Is this like Shark Tank where we can negotiate on the rate?
Oh darn it, the promissory note's already it's already written, so. But it's ready. We already have 2 investors that are doing it, and so it's ready and available to review.
What happens if you and your husband die? No, it's a legitimate question.
No,
We all
it
have, let's say we all bank 50,000 in this room, and what happens if that happens?
And so the promissory, so our company, A&E, would go through I don't wanna say a probate process, but the assets would be sold and the liabilities would have to be paid. So and full disclosure,
Aren't you the asset?
no,
No, I know. you
Because
won't have-
full
no,
disclosure,
I know.
we borrow this money at 6 to 7%, we reinvest it into something that gets us 10%. And we make profit on the spread. So we make a 3% profit. And so this money is going to buy assets.
It's just what the treasury does, right?
Mhm, exactly. Yep. So, and just another recap, like who is this for? High yield accounts, somebody who wants maximum liquidity, access to the cash in 1 to 3 days. The treasury bills, investors who need funds within 1 to 12 months. So I really, when I was having the conversation about taxes for next year, I was like, that is a perfect opportunity for treasury bills. Because you know a defined time when you need that money. But it also, you can, by building that ladder, you can help lock in your rates longer. I do think they are gonna stay high. But if for some reason the rates were to slash, whatever you have locked into a 13-week or a 26-week is fixed return. And then the promissory note is just somebody who can do that 3-year time frame and a quarterly cash flow. The bottom 2 options are open for retirement funds. So I'm guilty too. I should probably I have money waiting to be invested in my retirement account. It should probably be going in I'm setting up an entity right now for my Quest account, but it should be reinvested. Okay, I want to give a plug for the KW Wealth Roadshow. That's coming up September 14th. It is being hosted by my mentor, Brett Tanner, from KW Wealth Mastermind. And Brett is the most well-rounded, advanced investor I have ever met in my whole life. He has about 8 or 9 different businesses or investing arms that he runs, and he runs them at a very high level. He's also a super successful real estate agent. And it's very interesting because his investing business fuels his traditional buyer and seller business. And Brett is going to be teaching the KW Wealth Roadshow. They are going to talk about how to build a plan to increase your net worth to $50 million. And actually, my husband and I use that same spreadsheet because we get it through KW Wealth Mastermind. It's really, really powerful to like plug in some assets. It's kind of like if you were to say, okay, I'm going to buy 1 rental property a year. I'm going to invest in 1 property a year, and I'm going to invest in 1 note a year, and I'm going to invest in 1 X a year. And then you look out to 20 years from now, and then you look at the net worth column, you're like, wow, like that'll be awesome. It gives you the motivation needed to make those investments. So they're going to talk about that. They're going to talk about 12 ways to reduce your taxes. And then he's going to talk about the flow of money, which is actually something that I get asked a lot by agents, like how should my money flow? Like whether it's a commission check, whether it's this, like he's going to talk about his ideal structure for how that money should flow and what accounts you should have and things like that. So like a roadmap to money flowing from your business, your personal, everything. It's $299. $299. It's being held at the Mark on Thursday, September 14th, and it's from 9 to 2 or 9 to 3. pretty
9
much-
to 2, and then from 2:30 to 3:30, they're doing a special session
Okay.
for all the Go agents.
Oh, cool. So
So-
really 9 to 3.
Yes.
9 to 3. Okay. Awesome. So highly suggest it. I'm a big believer that sometimes there are certain trainings that you go to and a light switches. Like something switches on in your brain and you're just like, you can't unlearn what you just learned. And for me, that happened 10 years ago. For you, it might be the KW Wealth Roadshow. Because this is powerful information. So the QR code, I'll actually send the flyer when I email everybody the slides and the video link today. So you'll have the QR code.
And then you guys also, I sent the email out, but it is very, like Emily was saying, the class, if you would take it in Austin right now, it'd be $1,000 just to take the class, and it's gonna be in our backyard for $299. So you're saving on that, plus the cost of hotel, plus the cost of expenses, so just FYI. And then one last plug I wanted to make before you ended. So September, let's see what day is it? September 13th, we're having our sales meeting, so we're pushing up sales meeting a little early, but our special guest speaker for the sales meeting is gonna be the Leslie Akers. So she will be doing our September sales meeting, so mark it down in your calendars, and hopefully we'll see you there.
And next month, I already know the topic for this class next month, and it's going to be on seller financing. Because I've literally had 7 agents call me the past few weeks saying, hey, my client just asked me about seller financing, whether it's a seller, whether it's a buyer, like, should I consider owner financing? Can I try to buy owner financing? And so that's gonna be the topic next month. We're gonna do a deep dive into owner financing. I have a owner financing loan calculator file that I'll give out to everybody who comes next month. And so if you've started to hear buzzwords from your clients about seller financing, owner financing, definitely come next month.
What day is that?
That is
It's on the calendar.
It's on the 27th.
The 27th.
Okay.
And these classes are always gonna be on the last Wednesday of the month.
Yep, unless there's a major conflict.
Yep.
So. I just wanna say that I really think that people can have their eyes opened to investing, to whether it's real estate investing, whether it's treasury bill investing. So my dad, he worked for 5 more years, like I said, and then the stocks went up. He was able to retire, stocks went up until COVID hit. And when COVID hit, he was reminded again that his nest egg was completely out of his control. And so he finally started asking Adam and I about our investments. And so at 72 years old, my dad just made his first real estate investment of his life. So it's never too late. And you know, he has big dreams for this money. And when that property sells, he's gonna get to take his dream cruise on the Panama Canal. So I honestly believe that if you invest your time into knowledge of wealth building, knowledge of real estate investing, knowledge of how do you get your money to make more money, all those dreams on your vision board, they can come true. They absolutely can. You just have to start somewhere. So I appreciate all of you today. If you didn't sign in, please do so. I will send out the slides. I'll send out the link to the T-bill class. I'll send out the KW Wealth Roadshow flyer. And if you have any questions, I will be here afterwards to answer them. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Emily.